Hey there folks, CrossFlux here, and welcome back to Let's Play Cookie Run OvenBreak. In the last episode, we worked with our Brilliant Night White Choco cookie, and in today's episode, as I promised, we're going to be moving on to another aspect of the game that has somewhat been abandoned by the developers in recent times. It's a section known as the Island of Memories, and it gives you a little bit of insight, as the name would suggest, to some of the backstories of certain cookies. There are only 3 islands at the moment, and I highly doubt they're going to add any more, as the cookie trial system has more or less replaced what the Island of Memories was like. So the 2 different modes are still pretty different, but, you know, that's okay. The Island of Memories is actually known for being very difficult, like really difficult. Like, me recording this for the Let's Play is my incentive to actually completing it, because there's no way I would do it on my own otherwise. But I feel it's an important aspect of the game, so I wanted to show it off to you all. Alright, so, like with many of the game modes, you're going to access it by going to the play center of the main lobby. And you're going to scroll all the way to the right. It's pretty much hidden out of sight because it's almost, again, like the developers don't even want you to know it exists. And here are the 3 islands, as I mentioned. We're going to tackle them one at a time. Now, just like with the cookie trials, I'm going to break these up into a bunch of different videos, because trying to show all of this at once would be incredibly long and, to be honest, quite boring. So, each island is going to take about 5 episodes, and each episode will have about 11 stages or so, something like that. And so, in that way, I'll alternate uploads of the Island of Memories to kind of space it out a little bit, have it last a while, but, you know, break it up into manageable chunks. And so, this is what the Island of Memories looks like. Just gonna kind of scroll down through the path here a little bit. Again, my emulator's a little slow with the scroll, so please forgive that. But otherwise, the goal is you go through each of these stages, and you have to make it to the end of the stage, and you want to collect stars. You do this by completing the mission of the stage. It could be something like collect regular jellies, collect coins, destroy obstacles. It could really be anything, and it'll tell you at the start of the stage what it expects you to do. And every so often, there's a little boss fight that kind of breaks up the monotony, which is actually kind of neat. So you'll learn quite a bit more about how this works just by showing off a stage itself. So let's go ahead and hop into the first stage of Hero Cookie. Could I ever become such a hero? I have to make it. It's finally finished. Something's up. They might need us. Let's go. So, I probably should have given Hero Cookie a slightly nerdier voice or whatever, but let's be honest, I sound pretty dorky already, so I just kind of gave him my regular voice. But yeah, so it seems that Hero Cookie, almost like the Island of Memories, kind of contradicts the backstory laid out in the cookie description. Because if I remember correctly, in Hero Cookie's like little story section, when you select him as a playable character, it mentions that he created the caramel suit to help him and the others escape from the witch's oven, right? But here, according to the Island of Memories, it seems he just loved comic books and superheroes, so he just kind of made it because he wanted to. But apparently there's some alien robot that has invaded the planet, and he has built this cookie, or candy suit, I guess I should call it, to combat it. So, a little contradictory, not really sure which story is quote-unquote canon, but you know, I'd side with the Island of Memories over the cookie backstory. Just because the cookie backstories can be translated a little funky sometimes. And just like that, the first boss is taken care of. Jellico! Good, you're okay. Huh? Something's wrong with my suit. Ow. Oh no. My suit. It's destroyed. What's this? Caramel coating. Now it's stronger, yet lighter. You're the best combi. Yeah, so apparently Jellicoe's the one who came up with the idea to coat it in caramel rather than just pure chocolate. So, way to go there. But from this point on in the video, I'm just going to kind of skip around to each individual stage, because I think that'll keep the flow of the video a bit of a faster pace. Let me know how you like the format of this video, because I can change it for the future Island of Memories videos. But for now, this is what I'm going to be doing. So yeah, that little first boss stage against the candy bots is just kind of an introductory stage to introduce you to what Island of Memories are going to be like. And you get the 3 stars by just having a lot of health at the end of the stage. So again, it's the first stage, it's not going to be that hard, but trust me, it gets a lot harder the further you get into the Island of Memories. There were some stages that I've had to do in preparation for this video. Oh my goodness, 20, maybe 30 times. And see, here's the problem that I have with the Island of Memories. It, unlike all the other aspects to the game, you have what's called winding keys. And I guess it's like, you know, you use the key to crank up the Island of Memories since it's kind of like a music box. And so basically, they're a currency you use to attempt to run in the stage. So every time you run in an Island of Memory stage, you have to use one of those keys. And you can have up to a maximum of 10 keys at a time, and they recharge every, I'm wanting to say 15-20 minutes, something like that. So with that being the case, you more or less have a limited number of tries that you can do, and that's the problem with the Island of Memories. This is by far the hardest thing in the entire game, in my opinion. So putting a limit on how often you can attempt it really just pads out how much the content really is. Because I mean, look at this, we're already on the 3rd stage, and you know, each stage is only about a minute and a half tops. So they're really quick, and usually they're pretty simple. Again, it's just raw challenge. In each of these stages, with the rare exception of certain stages, you are running without any cookie abilities, no pet abilities, no treasures. You can run with any cookie that you want. It's just a matter of literally the raw mechanics of the game. How good are you at jumping at the appropriate time and sliding and paying attention to your surroundings? So in that aspect, yeah, I really like the Island of Memories. It's a really neat challenge, and usually you can get through it easily enough. If you're not going through a lot of stars, you just want to kind of do a stage or two, yeah, it's not that bad. But the problem comes in when you're trying to get all the stars, because, you know, having that limit on the number of tries really dissuades you from doing a lot of trial and error. Because in my experience, from what I've felt while going through these stages, again, since I'm recording for this video, I felt like a lot of these stages were just trial and error. You got to kind of memorize the path. And yeah, a lot of stages do in fact give you a lot of environmental clues as to what you're supposed to do, what path you're supposed to take, and you know, stuff like that. But usually the reaction time is like that. Like, you gotta be on dot to react to some of these clues. So it really forces you to memorize the stage, and that comes with doing the stage a lot, which you can't do because you only have a certain number of tries before you gotta wait for your keys to regenerate. Now, remember the magic laboratory I mentioned previous video, how you can build stuff? Well, you can make keys, and they're usually not that expensive, so if you really need to, you can keep building keys so that you can keep playing the stages. But, I don't know, that's just kind of a band-aid on the real issue, in my opinion. Personally, I think they just need to do away with the keys altogether. I mean, these stages are hard enough on their own, you know. If you still have to do it a million times, what's the point of spacing out each of those attempts? But that's just my 2 cents. But here I am just kind of rambling over the first, was it 5 stages? I think we're on stage 6 now. And so underneath that health bar, you see that there's a little meter for the 3 stars, and it'll tell you what your objective is. So for example, in this stage, we have to destroy obstacles. So this is actually one of those unique stages where you have your cookie and your pet ability. For each of these stages, since it is Hero Cookie's memory, I'm going to do my best to play as Hero Cookie. Occasionally, I will mix it up. Obviously, if there is a stage that demands a particular cookie, or makes the stage actually doable with a certain cookie, then yes, I will mix it up, just for my own sanity. But other than that, I'm going to do my best to run as Hero Cookie, since I think that makes the most sense. I mean, it's his trial, it's his memories, he's the one who's supposed to be experiencing these stages. So, just makes sense to me. But yeah, so for this stage, and honestly for most of the stages, your health doesn't really matter that much. Feel free to take a hit or two if it means getting something that's part of your objective. Like for example, in this stage, you have to collect giant bear jellies. If you have to take a hit, or you're close to taking a hit, just to get a bear jelly, dude, go for it. Like, you have way too much energy for these types of stages. Obviously, some stages, again, will change that up, and you will have to actually pay attention to your health in some stages. Usually those are the stages in which the objective are to collect health potions, because in those stages, your health drains super fast, so you're going to want to collect those health potions anyways. But again, that's an exception, not the rule. So, yeah, if you're looking for a tip, again, I recommend, you know, take a hit or two if you really need to. Obviously, don't go overboard and don't fall into holes, because falling into holes will cause you to miss a lot of jellies and coins, which is the main objective for these stages. The vast majority of these stages is collecting jellies and coins and stuff like that. So, don't fall into holes, take a hit if you need to, but don't go overboard. And again, just, it's trial and error. Pay attention to what you're going for. If you're looking for gold coins, try to block out all the other stuff on screen that's not a gold coin. Again, following the jelly path is your friend, but these stages will mix it up on you occasionally. They'll end up throwing a couple different paths, and you gotta pay attention to figure out what the true path is. Alright. Now, some of the other stuff I want to talk about in the Island of Memories is on the little screen, the stage select screen. You have the option to not only change your pet and your cookie and whatnot, which again is just a purely aesthetic choice, but each stage will come with 3 possible power-ups that you can use to help you get through the stage. And these are all a joke. Most of them will come with like an energy boost, which again you don't need. You have plenty of energy regardless. Sometimes it's a revive thing. So if it is a particularly tricky stage and you find yourself falling into holes a lot, you know, that power up might be useful. And then sometimes you get like a shield that'll protect you from a hit. Again, not really that big of a deal. Again, you got plenty of health, just take the hit. You'll really want to watch out for the one particular power-up, though, the Tiny Magnet. As the name suggests, it magnetizes jellies to you throughout the whole stage. However, the aura is very small, so instead of needing to be pixel perfect, it makes it so that you can be within 2 or 3 pixels. But if you're having a really tough time on a certain stage that requires a certain number of jellies, then yeah, I definitely recommend going for Tiny Magnets. You'll see that I actually use tiny magnets in some of the stages. I don't think I do in this first episode, this first chunk of Island of Memories, but in some of the later stages, yeah, if there's a tiny magnet, I'm using it. There's no reward for getting through the stage without power-ups, so in my opinion, just go for it. Now this stage in particular was actually kind of neat. There were bonus time letters spaced throughout the level, and they were actually cleverly hidden. The trick to getting all 3 stars in that stage was you had to get all the rainbow jellies, obviously, in the stage itself, but you had to get the bonus time jellies as well, because there were 3 rainbow bear jellies at the very end of bonus time that, you know, you would need to get that final 3rd star. Alright, now I feel bad for anyone who has color blindness going through this stage, because that section right there with the yellow and the pink bear jellies, I imagine that would be pretty difficult if, you know, you had trouble distinguishing between colors. And so that's something that was actually a recent addition to Cookie Run, is something called jelly skins. So not only do cookies get alternate costumes, but so do the jellies that you can pick up. And so they've done a really good job, Dev Sisters, in making jelly skins that make the yellow and pink bears more unique in terms of shape and silhouette. So if you have trouble seeing the difference between the colors, you can tell by the difference of the shape what kind of jelly it is that you're collecting. So for that particular stage, I do recommend that. And hello, what have we here? Space donuts. Yep, that's right. We have a donut cookie, which I guess donuts technically aren't cookies, which is probably why in this world, Space Donut is depicted as an alien. He kind of reminds me of Goku, actually, you know, from Dragon Ball Z, where he was sent as an evil creature meant to take over the planet. But apparently during the crash landing, Space Donut hit his head, and so not only does he have amnesia, he's also kind of a dunce now. Also, the brain is the donut hole, so that could also be it. His brain is more or less out of his body, and he's just kind of a dumb shell. But this particular stage, I used Space Donut to kind of go for the alien invasion aesthetic. But also because Space Donut I found is really good for destroying obstacles in this stage. I just kept trying it as Hero Cookie over and over again, and I couldn't do it. The timing of his skill activation was always not optimal, and so I would miss a lot of obstacles. But Space Donut here was actually fun to control, so I decided to use that footage. But alright folks, I think that's going to be it for today's episode. I thank you all so much for watching, so stay tuned for the next part, and until then, have a blessed day.